Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about how to dissolve your LLC, corporation, or limited partnership in the state of Texas. Now, the best possible answer here is call an attorney to have them do it for you because it's a lot more complicated than forming it. So there's two different forms. One's your clearance letter from the Comptroller, the other's the actual dissolution form with the Secretary of State. And you have to have the one done correctly first in order for the other one to get accepted. I'm going to roll the intro and we'll cut right to the form. But again, I want to reiterate here, if you're not sure what you're doing, the best thing is to call an attorney. Let's go. Before we get into the form, there's one other thing that you have to do before you can file a termination, and it's called the certificate of account. And see, right here. So you want to Google Texas Comptroller, not the Secretary of State, and we're going to do Secretary of State in a second, but you request a certificate of account status from the Texas Comptroller, and you can do that right here, certificate of good standing. You have to submit this along with your termination request to the Secretary of State. So we're not going to do that right now. We'll do that in a future video. Texas Secretary of State termination form, and it's going to be a Form 651. There it is, certificate of termination of a domestic entity. We're going to open this up and we're going to fill out this PDF right here. The name of the domestic entity is ABC Services LLC. Whatever your LLC name is, you would type it in there. The entity is organized as a limited liability company, or if you are a for-profit corporation, you would type that there. If you're a non-profit corporation, limited partnership, general partnership, whatever it is, then you would type that right there. The date of formation of the entity, you're going to go back to your entity paperwork and you're going to get the date of formation. If you don't have that, you can look it up on the Texas Secretary of State website. But let's say we're January 1st of 2015 is when we were formed. Same thing, the file number issued by the Secretary of State. If you don't have that, you can search your file number by SOS Direct right here. Okay, so we're not going to do that right now, but if you need to pull another copy of your certificate, you need to pull a copy of your file number, all that, you can do that on SOS Direct. You click enter site, you have to register, there's a $1 fee per search, etc., etc. Nice and easy. We're going to put the file number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Governing person number 1 is member son. Address 123 Main Street, San Antonio. Shout out to my Spurs, Texas, USA 78123. Then governing person number 2 will be vice member son. Then they live next door. God, I can't type. 78123. Okay. And you would put however many governing people that you have there. You can attach additional pages if you need to. Event requiring winding up. This is essentially asking you, why are you dissolving the company? You have to select one. If you don't select one, they're going to kick it back and you're not going to have your entity dissolved and you're going to have to fill it out again. So option 1, a voluntary decision to wind up. That's if the members have gotten together and decided that they want to dissolve the entity. The period of duration specified in the governing documents has expired. Very rarely is this a thing anymore, but if when you formed the entity, you specified a specific duration that the entity would survive, then you would check B. C, the occurrence of an event specified in the governing documents of the entity that requires the winding up, dissolution, or termination of the entity. This is if you have somewhere in your certificate or your operating agreement a requirement that the entity be dissolved if XYZ happens, and then XYZ has in fact happened. And then E is a court decree requiring the winding up, dissolution, or termination of the entity has been rendered under the provisions of the TBOC, essentially bankruptcy or an order of dissolution from a Texas court. Okay? So you'd pick one. We're going to say voluntary dissolution. The entity is complied. You have to certify that this is true. The certificate that you obtained from the Comptroller is part of this requirement that you have to show you have paid your franchise tax to the Comptroller and that you are up to date before you're allowed to wind your entity up. Effectiveness of filing, you have to select one. Generally, we're going to select A that says that it becomes effective upon filing, but you could select B or C. B is that it becomes effective at a later date, and C, I have never selected C, but you could. Sees that it takes effect upon the occurrence of an event, and that's where you describe the event for C. You have to check this. Attached here too is a certificate from the Comptroller of Public Accounts. That's the search that I was showing you all a minute ago, where you go on the Comptroller's website and you get a certificate of good standing that says, I promise I have paid all the franchise tax that I'm supposed to pay. If you don't check that box and if you don't attach your Comptroller certificate, they're going to return this to you, and you date it. Then the name of the entity, ABC Services LLC. If this does not match exactly, they're also going to kick it back. Signature of authorized persons. This needs to be the signature of the person who is authorized to effect the dissolution by the resolutions of the company calling for that dissolution. And printer type name of authorized person, that is whoever is signing it. Lawyer person. It's going to be what it is. Then we're all done. We're going to click print. It's going to give us a thing. If you're curious about where it needs to get sent, you read the instructions right here. It tells you everything that you need to know. Then you print that bad boy out, send it in along with your $40 and your certificate from the Comptroller, and you get confirmation back shortly thereafter that your entity has been terminated. So that's how we dissolve an entity. If you guys have any other questions about how to do this, feel free to drop a comment. If you're enjoying the content, give us a like and subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.